Well, thanks, Jerry. Thanks, Jerry. I was asked to talk to you about how to win in business. I think it's a good subject for you to think about because I believe business in America is in a crisis situation today. All you have to do is read the paper every month, see our trade deficit, and it's just a very depressing situation. To speak to you about how to win in business, there's a lot of obvious things I could talk about. You first have to find a need. You need to feel the need for the consumer out there. You've got to have a market. You got to have somebody to sell your product or service to. You've got to, if you really want to win big and get big in business, you've got to have a uniqueness. There's got to be something out there a little bit different from you and all the competition out there. But by far, the most important thing that you have to do to win in business is in these United States is a very unique mental toughness, unique kind of mental toughness. I believe the difference in winning and losing in the free enterprise system is so small it's almost too scary to talk about. You can do 99% of the right things in business, and yet if you don't possess what I call that winning edge, that mental toughness, folks, it's impossible to win. I believe the kind of thinking in corporate America has been screwed up over the last 20, 25 years. And I believe the screwed up kind of thinking started in our big liberal universities today. I believe a college degree is from business from most universities today is not worth the paper it's written on. I had a son graduate from the University of Georgia a few months ago. The reason I think that is because most of the professors and most of these universities out there haven't got enough sense to get in and out of the rain. They believe and they have an idea or in theory. These people have tried to fill up corporate America with this kind of thinking. These are the special people. If you're born rich, if you're born on the right side of the track, they rule you the privileged class in America. If you're born from the wrong side of the tracks, they ask you to give up all your big dreams, big hopes, and big ambitions. If you have a high IQ, they rule you brilliant. If you have an average IQ like me, they say you ought to drive a truck or be a janitor. Well, bull. That ain't the way it ever was. They ain't nobody design a test, nor will they design a test that can measure the heart of a man or a woman. The things that are unique and winning in business in America today are not some outside artificial things like IQs, college board scores, and college degrees and stuff like that. The key to winning in America and these United States is what's inside a person. It's your integrity. It's your people abilities. It's your character. I believe in developing this winning edge. I've got 10 or 12 points that I could go into with you tonight. But let me just give you a little flavor of what I think you need to do to succeed in the United States, in these United States. Number one, you got to get excited. Folks, I don't believe anybody will tell you anything more important than winning in these United States. 90+% of winning in America, you got to try to win in America. You've got to be excited. People in America won't follow or believe in a negative, dull, disillusioned, frustrated, daggone crybaby. People want people that are positive and excited, enthusiastic, and tough. The greatest lesson, the greatest definition I ever heard, I thought about this 10 million times along the way of a winner. The guy said, almost everybody in America can stay excited for 2 or 3 months. A few people can stay excited for 2 or 3 years. But a winner will stay excited for 30 years or however long it takes to win. Another key to building this winning edge is this unique kind of mental toughness. You got to become a dreamer again. I'm a Methodist and I just changed ministers a few weeks ago, and our new minister came out and said to the church, it was packed. And he said the first thing out of his mouth he said was, well, it looks like everybody came out to see the mucky perform. And the second thing out of his mouth, he said, for a church to be a great church, you got to have a dream. If you don't have a dream, you're dead. And boy, I sat up and I said, man, this man and I are going to get along good because he knows what he's talking about. See, folks, I believe in order to win, you got to feel good about yourself. When I was coaching football for 7 years back in Georgia, I had a paddle in my coaching office. It was about this thick and this long. And in the fat end, we had little holes bored into it so you can really get some speed and blister their little butt. When they misbehaved, and I had a rule on my football team that if any kid said, I can't, if any football player I heard one of my football players say, I can't, he used to bring him into the coach's office and give him 3 licks. And it took about a month. It took about a month to get all that thinking out of my players' heads every year. And I'd have football players knock on my door at recess and lunch and after school. And he said, Coach, he said it. Coach, he said it. And I'd make the kid bend over the board and bust him 3 times. And folks, it didn't take long. You couldn't create a word game to get one of my kids to say I can't. Bring it home a little bit more personal. When April and little Art were just little and could understand words, every time they said I can't, I made them do 3 push-ups. Folks, there ain't nothing you can't do in America if you want to bad enough. Another key to building this winning edge, and folks, you've got to stand for something. People in America, the good people in America, are fed up with these goddamn fence-sitters and mealy-mouths. Our corporate America has especially black eye in business today. Most people in America think you can't find a company. They think you can't find a salesperson. They think you tell it like it is and stand behind that word. They think these companies will sell anything. They'll say anything just to make a sale, just to make a profit. Well, you know what, folks? If you want to win in the free enterprise system in America today, you got to stand for something. Another point, thank you, is yes, you've got to be controversial. Folks, if you want to win in these United States, just get ready. You're going to be controversial. The only way not to be controversial is to be average and ordinary. They just call me anything but average and ordinary. Now, I know some of you might say, well, I don't think I like Art Williams. He sounds like an old tough butt to me. Well, folks, I'm telling you, you can be good and tough at the same time. I'll bet no one's ever talked to a really religious broadcaster like this. Another key to developing this winning attitude is that you've got to you give a chance to something great in American business. Is, folks, that you've got to make a total commitment to what you're about. Do you know almost the American people have lost their toughness? They lost their ability to make a commitment. See, folks, in trying to win in business, you're gonna have so many false starts. You think you get it going time after time, and your ability just to get knocked back to ground zero, and your ability to compete, to pick yourself off the ground one more time, to go for it one more time, that's gonna be determine success or failure. We've got a divorce rate in America, some 50% right now. It's just like some people think that you go into business today and have the attitude, well, I'm just going to stick my toe in it. If I start making all this money and get all these promotions, then I'll see it through. Well, folks, that's not the way it works. The first step to winning in business in America today, you've got to make a total commitment. Total commitment gives you that little extra ounce of courage you need to fight back through the tough times. Winning in business demands the same kind